All right. So I'm Rick from Abbey Games, and this is Renowned Explorers, the game that we're working on right now. It's launching September 2nd, so it's about a month away from GamesCom right now. Renowned Explorers is a strategy adventure game in which you control a crew of explorers in the age of exploration, the 19th century, as you go around traveling around the world and finding treasures and having all these crazy adventures. So I say we're just going to jump right in. Every time that you start a new game of Renowned Explorers, you create your very own crew. A crew consists of one captain and two crew members, and you select from a big roster of 20 characters who are divided up in 4 classes: the scientist, scout, fighter, and speaker. So I'm gonna go for what kind of? I like this guy. He's a fighter, but he's actually kind of a nice guy, which is useful to have, as you'll see in a bit. I'm going to pick. Who would you like to see out of these? Out of this cast of colorful characters?
Well, I'm a peaceful guy, so I prefer a scientist.
Out of the scientists, I think Gabriella here might be one of the most peaceful ones.
Okay.
The rest are a little bit of a crazy bunch, but she's actually really nice. She loves plants, and she's a very good archaeologist. And lastly, I'm going to pick someone to attack from long range. I'm going to take the Turkish bow user, Hatis, and I'm going to start my adventure.
So will the story be different depending on?
Yes, very different. As you'll see in a bit, we are going to launch directly into our first expedition. Every expedition in the game is procedurally generated and populated with all kinds of different random story events. And depending on the kind of characters that I have in my crew, I can solve these problems that arise in all kinds of different ways.
But it will usually be similar kinds of problems that you get, but you have different ways to solve them.
Both that and yes and no. You will see some of the same random events pop up, but I mean, this island that I've generated right now, my first expedition is on in the Scottish Highlands, is going to be completely different next time I play it. I might encounter completely different enemies here, or completely different environments. The only recurring factor is that it will be in Scotland every time. So every expedition is littered with these sort of little story events, and it looks like right now these villagers are doing a theater piece on the Vikings, and they're asking me if one of my crew can stand in for the theater. And so I can actually pick who should go play the part. And I can actually tell, like, Victor here, he's got a really nice beard, and because of that, the chances of him succeeding at playing a Viking are actually quite high. So I'm going to go with him, and we're going to see if he does a good job. So there's a random chance here that I'm going to succeed or fail, and actually did succeed. So Victor seems to be an accomplished actor. His stats are increased. He's actually even better at convincing people now because of his acting classes, and I gained some resources. So during this expedition, this is my ultimate goal. I'm trying to discover this Viking boat. To get there, I have 7 or by now 6 supplies left, so I have to really plan out my moves. I want to try and get as many resources and find as many treasures before I find the final treasure and leave this expedition.
If you run out of supplies, you need to restart from 0?
It's actually not quite that hard. When you run out of supplies, your characters will start to gain massive debuffs, as they start getting delirious and sick from the lack of food. So this is a very straightforward event. I just gained some resources from this Icelandic explorer. Every time that I select where I want to go, you'll notice that there's these tiny little sort of icons next to every location. I can sort of glean information about what I can find there. So over here I noticed that there is a treasure probably available. So I'm going to try and get that. I'm going to go into this home, and there's a gathering of the Viking committee. And again, I have to select which character will go socialize with the Vikings. And again, Victor has a pretty nice beard, so he was a good pick. It was a good pick to bring him. Let's see if it works out. Oh no. Yeah, I actually horribly failed. Victor doesn't fit in with the rest of the Vikings, but the chairman doesn't seem to really care. He's going to give me a treasure anyway, but it's not going to be as good as I would have gotten if I actually succeeded at the challenge. So depending on which characters you take, some events can go in very different directions. These are some pretty simple examples, of course. But you can find like special rare encounters and meet unique enemies based on which characters you have in your party.
The graphics look very simple, actually, like more like a smartphone game.
We go for like kind of a Disney-ish style. So we have like very detailed painted backgrounds and very sort of like simple cel-shaded characters. We are exclusively for the PC, Mac, and Linux. So we're really trying to sort of blend hardcore mechanics with very approachable graphics. I'm one of the artists myself, and so yeah, we were actually very conscious in trying to make the art style as approachable as possible and as friendly as possible. Right now, I've actually entered one of our tactical combat encounters, and these are sort of the meat of the game. Every encounter, you're going to have a group of enemies that are going to want something from you. But in most of these games, you know, when you enter a tactical encounter, it's going to be about fighting. You're going to, you know, hit each other with swords and stuff. But that's not the case in our game. We wanted to take sort of the idea of diplomacy and sort of vocal solutions and make it as tactical as the average like tactical encounter in other games. So these enemies, as I can see over here, have an attitude, as do I. We call this attitude-based gameplay. They are at this point friendly, so they're actually quite nice to me, but they're very annoying. They want me to stay, they want me to stop exploring and instead stay and have drinks with them. So I'm going to try and, what do you think? Should I try and convince them in a friendly manner that I should really move on, or should I punch them in the nose?
No, you should convince them.
Okay, I'll do that then. Hatis here is not actually that good at it, but let's see how it goes. So, you'll notice that we are currently both being friendly, leading to this very pleasant atmosphere. The atmosphere of an encounter can be very important to the tactics of the game, because right now, because we are both so friendly, I actually gain bonus damage if I were to punch him in the face, just because he didn't see it coming. You know, we're having a nice conversation, and suddenly if I went aggressive, it would be very, very sudden. His will has been broken down a little bit, but he is still hanging in there. So I'm going to go try and convince his buddy to stop pestering us by being super nice. We don't really have an HP bar. Instead, we have what's called Spirit. It's sort of a character's will to continue to try and convince the other party. And you know, these guys are getting quite annoying, so I'm actually going to taunt him and tell him to get out of here. Call him a snail. And he's super confused about all of this because we were so nice before. And he's so confused he actually ran away. And as you can see, at this point I'm actually, my attitude has turned to devious because I'm being such a meanie. And depending on the encounter, some enemies will be very strong to a friendly approach, whereas others might be, so he's, they're going to try and continue to be nice, but at this point, you know, I've gone all in. I'm going to be super devious. I'm going to stick my tongue out at him, which unfortunately failed horribly. Gabriella here is a super nice girl, so she's actually really bad at being mean. Certain parties are going to have certain benefits. Hatis here is a really strong character when you're just going full-on aggressive. She can use her bow to deal tons of damage at great distances. And as you can see right now, I've become aggressive. Depending on the moods, I can employ different kinds of tactics. So right now, their friendly approach would be quite useless against my aggression. So I'm just going to continue down this path and have Victor deal the final blow, hopefully. Not quite, but I'll get him. Maybe this time it'll work. So he's so pissed off he actually loses it and runs away. So we managed to get an aggressive victory. Depending on how you solve encounters, the story can go in wildly different directions. Right now, these poor villagers that were being very nice to me, I actually beat them up. And as you can see, they run away crying. But if I was really nice to them, they might have given me something. So I guess I'm just not very good at my own game.
Do they now also tell other people that you're evil?
Yes. They actually, my reputation will matter. When I go back to Civilization and I've beaten up a bunch of locals, people back in London will know, and they might not offer me their services, or some nasty people might offer me special services, like you're a bad guy like us, we're gonna join you. So I'm actually going to see if I can find this final treasure and end the expedition. So since this is the first expedition in our game, at the end of it you are always introduced to the primary antagonist of the game, your rival, this jerk Rivaleux. And he has his own crew of explorers who are going to do their best to stop us from getting the treasure that we are trying to get. So I'm going to have to defend myself. I'm actually fighting one of Rivaleux's lackeys. Which one actually attacks you is also randomly determined, so it's pretty difficult to prepare for that. Now you'll see at the start of every encounter we lay out the stakes, what could happen from this encounter. So you'll see in this one, if I am friendly, Tommy will think I'm nice. Tommy is the bad guy here. But if I'm mean, he'll just leave. And if I beat him straight up in a fight, he will be very impressed by my skill. So depending on the party I have, I might choose to do certain things depending on the story progression that I would like. So I'm actually going to try and be nice to him, just to see how that goes. These are some of his lackeys. I'm going to try and take care of those and convince them that they should join me instead. So I'll actually run off to the side of the arena here and they'll cheer me on. And depending on on how I upgrade my crew, having enemies cheer me on might actually give me a huge, powerful bonus. And technically maneuver the rest of my characters over here.
So we are getting quite long with the time, so...
yeah, I'm sorry. You should cut out, cut out dead air and things like that.
It was followed very interesting, then we'll continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I could actually just quit out and see if I can show you some of the, like a big other part of the game, and then I think we can call it.
What's the game gonna cost?
The game will cost, we are not quite sure yet actually. It's on Steam right now, but we're not accepting pre-orders, as we're still sort of determining the price with some of the different parties. It's actually quite a difficult process.
Yeah, but do you have a range in mind?
We're thinking somewhere like 15 to 20 euros.
Okay.
That's about the range we're thinking. Exactly how we're going to go, we don't know yet. So no promises, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Every time that you finish an expedition, you go back to the overworld. This is where, a map of the world. And from here we can plan our next expeditions. So there's a whole range. For this demo we only have 2 of them unlocked. But there's a whole range of different expeditions that you could go on, like to Egypt or Transylvania, or even to like the mountaintops of Shangri-La, like fabled locations as such. And over here in the overworld view, we can upgrade our crew in various different ways, like buy different technologies or purchase items. And well, that's the gist.
Okay. Thank you very much. That looks interesting. We would like to publish this interview, or maybe we would like to publish this interview on YouTube. Do you allow that?
I definitely allow that. That's why I'm wearing this microphone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.